Congratulations, guys.
In the sport of NHRA drag racing, and that's what it's all about, that one-on-one interaction, just like a rider on a motorcycle. And sometimes it's about two wheels. That is 400 horsepower on two wheels that will roll across the scales at under 650 pounds. That will include the rider, and that weight can vary depending on the four-cylinder inline Suzuki engine or the V-twin model. High RPM launches will allow these bikes to accelerate within the first 60 feet in just over 1 second, most equipped with 6-speed transmission, and that allows a rider to get through 5 gears before the 8th mile. The man of such prolific success over the last 2 years, Gaige Herrera, has our attention once again here in Seattle, Washington. It is only the second time the NHRA Pro Stock motorcycle category has been contested in the history of this event. And Gaige Herrera is on an 11-race win streak that extends all the way back into the 2023 season. His Suzuki Hayabusa has been untouchable. His riding ability has been unassailable. And to this point in time, there is nobody that has given him a huge push, I should say, in terms of threatening him in success. Our record-setting performance is brought to us by Fendt Tractors, the record-setting start to a season, the record-setting number of consecutive wins, the record-setting round wins streak, and of course the consecutive round wins of 43. Jordan Vandegrift is with Gaige Herrera, and he's wondering, is this where it all stops?
Gaige Herrera has dominated pro stock motorcycles so far, and here in Seattle it is no different. He's won the Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty. He is the #1 qualifier. But Gaige, is today the day somebody stops your race win streak at 11?
You know, we'll see. You know, the competition will get really tight. You know, I think the whole top 7 bikes right now within a couple hundreds, and it's going to be a good day of racing. You know, both of our Revzilla Motul Advanced Science bikes are running good, running strong, and we'll see what happens. You know, I'm excited for racing. You know, I'm glad we're back here in Seattle. It's a very nice facility, and let's see what happens. I'm ready.
We look at kind of a Gaige versus the world perspective here, and since 2023, he has 19 victories. Everybody else in the category has 4. The referee, if he was in the ring, may consider stopping the fight, but it's not going to end today. This week's Suzuki Science of Speed is about, and with, I should say, our 2023 Rookie of the Year, the NHRA Drag Racing Series, young rider Chase Van Zandt.
Ladies and gentlemen, get loud for John Hall! And over on the right-hand side is the points leader. He's the reigning world champion for Vanson Hines and Revzilla. Here he comes, your defending race winner, Gaige Herrera.
Vance Hines got Matt Smith racing, but this is a rematch of the Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty semi in Norwalk, which John Hall won on a hole shot. On a hole shot. The last time in fact, Gaige has not gotten out of the semifinal round of the Too Fast Too Tasty Challenge since Chicago, when he beat John Hall and his teammate Richard Getz. 3 consecutive semi-final losses. Gaige has obviously been in every Too Fast Too Tasty challenge because he's won every event on the tour since last fall. Reigning world champion Vanson Hines, Revzilla Suzuki, and John Hall, Denza, Brakes, MSR View. Can John Hall slay the giant again? Gaige Herrera for the win. 683.8, 198 for John Hall. Gaige Herrera was vulnerable. He was there for the beating. He would have lost to both of the other semifinalists, but he had enough to beat John Hall. Gaige Herrera, Matt Smith. The final round, motorcycle fans long for every week. They're going to get it here today in the Too Fast Too Tasty Challenge. Another look as they race down the quarter-mile Pacific Raceways. Gaige Herrera gets there first.
Final round. Coming at you on the left-hand side of the racetrack for Denzo. He's a 6-time Pro Stock Motorcycle World Champion, Matt Smith. And over on the right-hand side for Revzilla and Vanson Hines, he is the reigning Mission Foods World Champion, Gaige Herrera.
Reigning world champion, undefeated rider on Sundays here this season. He's coming up on an entire calendar year without a round loss in competitions. It's wild. One stock set, Trey Butcher Trucking, and that is Matt Smith, Outlaw Mile High Beer. Tasty Challenge has not exactly been friendly to Gaige this year, even though he's qualified for everyone, obviously. He won the first 2, but in Bristol, Richmond, and Norwalk, he couldn't get out of the first round. Matt Smith knocked him down twice in that run, and was the winner of the Too Fast Too Tasty in Old Bristol. Miles per hour. Matt Smith goes 201.43. I do believe that is the second fastest run in the history of this track, behind his wife earlier today. But Gaige Herrera with his 3rd Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty Challenge win of 2024, and the world champion back on top.
Sometimes these things happen in this sport. Ichi Kawakami, who came from Japan to compete this year in Pro Stock Motorcycle, will take on the tallest order to have, not only in Pro Stock Motorcycle, but in NHRA drag racing right now, in Gaige Herrera. Once again, the same colors as Richard Gadsden. It's Revzilla, Motul, Vance and Hines, Mission Foods. We have talked about win streaks ending in unlikely ways. Kawakami seeking his first professional round win in NHRA drag racing. And you never know how these things end. It won't end on this run. Kawakami goes 15 thousandths red. Gaige Herrera turns on a win light as easy as you and I have just taken our next breath. 674.4 at 199. He's still way behind Matt Smith in performance, so that is maybe looming on the horizon later on today as those two trains continue to run toward each other, seemingly on the same track. So the Pro Stock Motorcycle class has ended its first round, and we have moved on to round number 2 as we get a look at our competition. 60 feet. So Chase Van Zandt, we know, has moved himself into the semifinals. Matt Smith and Richard Gadsden will be up, as will Gaige Herrera and Gianna Evaristo. So Chase Van Zandt making, once again, his presence known as he has done so many times this year. Gianna Evaristo, one of the riders that has a basically favorable record. There's nobody that has a great record against this guy, of course, because he's barely ever lost. His first season in NHRA drag racing, Gaige Herrera, long before he started this win streak, was a quiet one. It was a training season before the Vance and Hines team hired him. Gianna Evaristo has her own fantastic story, winner of the 2019 NHRA finals, but what an evolution this rider has been on, especially this season.
Well, if in fact you are just as good as your last run, Gianna comes into this round 1/100th of a second better based on their first round performance.
Remember, the longest streak of wins of rounds and races in NHRA history is on the line now every time he stages the bike. Gaige is 37 green. Gianna was 87 green. We'll find out if there's enough performance down there. Gaige on a whole shot, 673.7, beats a 6.704, 200.32 miles an hour. Look at the speed for Gianna Evaristo, 203.95 miles an hour. That is another new track record of speed performance here and one of the fastest runs in the history of the class, and it doesn't result in a win light.
Oh, well, that's the good news for Gianna. That big speed, that elapsed time, but that doesn't mean much because Gaige Herrera was able to get a nice jump off of the starting line. It seemed that Gianna was having maybe some difficulty staging the bike, having to roll it forward. That may have created a little bit of a distraction, but this is one of the things that Gaige Herrera does so well. You have to try to beat the machine. You also have to try to beat the rider who does so well.
Gaige Herrera will have a bye run into the final round. It is certainly an uplifting thing for John. It's an uplifting thing and a reminder to all of us how much people love this sport and the outsized effect that that man has had on it. Gaige Herrera and Chase Van Zandt are engaged now in the final round of Pro Stock Motorcycle. We have drawn up all these different scenarios, Tony. Does it end with the chain falling off Gaige's bike? Does it end with them getting the sign switches on the way to the staging lanes? Or could it end with a very capable competitor in Chase Van Zandt, the young man who has never won a race before, Gaige Herrera, who has piled him up like cordwood?
If it ends, it's going to end with one of the young rising stars in the pro stock bike category, and that's been Chase Van Zandt. And I had a hunch about him when he came onto the scene as a rookie, and they put a pretty good bike underneath him. And believe it or not, in terms of performance, he can compete with Gaige Herrera. He can also compete with him off that starting line.
You cannot judge books by their cover. You cannot judge people by their initial appearance. But we can start to make some ideas and formulations about them. And you and I both agree, we first saw Chase Van Zandt come onto this scene. This is a polished, this is a fit, this is a focused, this is a guy who is not here simply to say that he rides a motorcycle and to go hang out in the pits. This is a guy whose mind has been locked in on winning. He's not looked away from it. It hasn't happened for him yet, but he is equipped to do it.
Nope, there's talent there. He's very well spoken, and he's very marketable. Seems very professional, and it just seemed that over the last several races, he's just continued to get better and better. And when you look at his performance on the machine, he doesn't do anything crazy. He doesn't allow the bike to get out of He's very consistent off the starting line, and of course that's one of the strengths of Gaige Herrera. He has the best machine. It's been the quickest and fastest, but if anyone could challenge him, it is Chase. We thought it might be Matt Smith, and Chase made it to that final via the breakage for Matt Smith.
Chase Van Zandt's crew chief is Tim Kalungian, one of the most cerebral men in the entire sport of drag racing. A man you could talk to about how to build an engine, you could talk to him about aerodynamics, you could talk to him about Eastern philosophy. He will have a take on all of it. And that is the crew chief for Gaige Herrera, Andrew Hines. He is the Dr. Frankenstein, and he is going to watch what has been his perfect monster attack this drag strip. The lead, Van Zandt 17, Gaige Herrera is 0.25.
He's quicker on the track.
It looks like he might have enough, and at the finish line stripe, it's Chase Van Zandt. The streak ends in 11 races. 672 at 201 miles an hour by 43 thousandths of a second. And that is how you get a first career win.
Yeah, that's right. Look back, Chase, because he was in your rearview mirror, and that's how you do it. That is textbook. You come to the starting line, you keep your marbles, you keep your composure, do not allow the pressure. You're on national TV. You just took down what no one else could, and when they had Gaige Herrera exactly where they wanted him, the rider was not able to finish the job off, but Chase Van Zandt did everything right. He had the bike, he had the talent on the starting line, and he earned this win.
You can see Van Zandt, that deep breath, almost not deflating, but letting all of those pressures and tensions out. His head now bobbing. He is an emotional kid, and he is getting a hug now. And Gaige Herrera is certainly not disbelieving what he's seeing, but the win arrow in that time slip is not facing a direction he has seen since Maple Grove of last year. This team is their first victory. It's enormous, Tony. Watch again.
Off the starting line and never looked back. He was better off the line, better in 60 feet, not by much. It was a good race. It was a close race. You can see Chase just start that slight drift to the outside of the lane, but there's plenty of rubber down at this stage of the game. It was Chase Van Zandt, or rather Gaige Herrera, that seemed to know that he was in trouble. You could see him just take a look over to the right, and that's never a good sign, especially when you see a yellow front end.
Everything about that pair is what professional drag racing is supposed to be about. Everything, top to bottom. And there's the celebration. Gaige Herrera's, or rather, Chase Van Zandt's father.